Hey, we got Sophie the Trophy, one half of the Blonde Bombers, coming out and exposing her truth with this Bria Hartley situation, and she's also letting it be known the behind the scenes and what's really going on with Caitlin Clark's injury.
Sophie Cunningham okay, this is wild. Ham just dropped a bomb, and it's not about bad refs or cheap shots. Nope, the talk is all about Caitlin Clark possibly walking away from the WNBA entirely. Yeah, you heard that right. The league's brightest star, and suddenly her future outside the league is front and center. Would you actually support Caitlin if she decided to leave? Because here's where it gets crazy. Sophie Cunningham just threw gasoline on a fire that was already burning out of control, basically suggesting Caitlin's time in the WNBA might be way shorter than anyone expected, and now fans are in full panic mode. If you think that sounds dramatic, trust me, it's not, because the writing has been on the wall for months. Caitlin Clark isn't a rookie anymore, she's in her second year, and you'd think the league would know how to protect her by now. Spoiler, they haven't. She's been battered every single game, fouled like it's open season, and treated more like a punching bag than the superstar face of the entire sport. And then the WNBA wants to act shocked when someone like Sophie hints that Caitlin might actually quit.
Shocked? Really?
You've practically been daring her to, and get this. Sophie Cunningham has been fined so many times she's practically the league's walking ATM machine. But even she's the one bravely calling out what everyone else can clearly see. Caitlin's situation simply isn't sustainable. It's like the clock is ticking on her patience, and we're all watching to see what happens next.
Dude, I don't know. Everyone keeps asking, everyone's like, you know, and I'm like, literally, she doesn't even know. Like, it's just like a day by day legit type of thing. And so, yeah, she's close, but like, you also have to remember, like, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now, but like at this level, with how deep and like how good people are nowadays in our league, which is the best it's ever been, like you can't just be good, you have to be on top of your game. And so just trying to get her back in game shape, I think, is what they're trying to do. But like, again, it's literally a day by day. I'm not holding out any information, I just literally don't.
But here's the kicker. Sophie straight up said Caitlin might not even know when she's coming back from her injury. The official language is day by day, right? But we all know day by day quickly turns into week by week, and then suddenly, season over. Fans don't need a medical degree to realize something's definitely not adding up here.
Yeah, and she also would be able to play if this was not sumo wrestling, if this was not UFC, if you guys did not play rugby in these basketball games, she'd probably be able to get out there and do her thing. But she has to put on all this armor, which caused her to get hurt anyway. She had to put on all this armor because y'all don't play basketball. It is rugby out there.
Now, Sophie added the part that really shook people. She said Caitlin could probably already be playing if it wasn't for the WNBA. Think about what that really means. That's a dagger, isn't it? In another league, maybe even another sport, Caitlin would be back on the court, tearing it up. But in this league, the talent gap isn't as forgiving. The refereeing is totally inconsistent, and the politics, they're worse than high school drama. So instead of focusing on the fact that Caitlin sells out every single arena she steps into, we're sitting here wondering if she'll ever play again this season, or even worse, if she'll want to come back next year.
Look, listen, Sophie, I love you trying to hold it down. We love that you were trying to hold it down. We wish you a speedy recovery. But as far as what's going on in the WNBA, we are on them. We gonna stay on them. It's not gonna change. It's not gonna change. We're on today nonsense.
Let's be brutally honest.
Let me be totally honest. Caitlin Clark doesn't need the WNBA. The WNBA desperately needs her. The ratings, the ticket sales, the merchandise, all of it skyrocketed the moment Caitlin stepped onto the court. Without her, the hype instantly vanishes. Half the arenas go half empty again, and the league just slips right back into obscurity. Caitlin brought this massive spotlight, and now that spotlight is exposing every single ugly crack in the system. Fans see the bad refereeing. They see the selective punishment. They see how certain stars get the royal treatment. Cough, Paige Brickers, while Caitlin gets shoved, hacked, and then gets whistled for daring to complain.
I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, like, again, I think she's a hell of a player and like would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. Like, you literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me.
And that's the double standard Sophie was hinting at. Get this, Sophie can't even mention Paige without catching a fine. But Angel Reese can flat out say Caitlyn has a special whistle, and nobody bats an eye. Coaches can scream about the refs, and it's just shrugged off. But Sophie cracks a joke or points out favoritism, and suddenly her bank account gets lighter. That's not fair enforcement. That's straight up targeting. And when that targeting lines up with Caitlyn being at the very center of it all, fans start asking, is this personal? You have to understand, Caitlin Clark doesn't strike me as someone who wants to waste her career getting bullied by refs and resented by teammates. She's competitive, she's fiery, but she's also incredibly smart. So, if she feels like this league is breaking her body and draining her energy, why wouldn't she look elsewhere? This isn't some hot take, it's just common sense. Let's talk about Europe for a second. Countless players go overseas in the off-season for one simple reason: money. They get paid more, they get more respect, and ironically, many of them say the refereeing is even better. Caitlyn could go tomorrow and become the highest paid women's basketball player on the planet without taking a single WNBA dribble ever again. And honestly, I wouldn't blame her. And neither would fans. They'd follow her games online, buy the streams, and watch her absolutely torch teams in Spain or Turkey or Italy. The WNBA would just be left wondering how they managed to lose their biggest star before her third season. But wait, there's another angle, and this one might sting even more for the league. Caitlin Clark has options outside basketball entirely. She's already hinted at her love for golf. What if she took the Paige Spiranak route, leaned into sponsorships, media appearances, maybe even played professionally? She's marketable enough to make tens of millions doing something that doesn't involve getting her face raked across someone's elbow every single night. That's the nightmare scenario for the WNBA. Not Caitlyn playing in Europe, but Caitlyn saying, you know what, I'm out. I'm golfing, I'm building my brand, you guys can keep the chaos. Fans are already whispering it, wouldn't Caitlyn be happier in golf? What if she just went to Europe and came back when the WNBA fixed itself? When whispers like that start turning into actual conversations, the league has a serious problem, because stars leaving isn't new. Maya Moore walked away, Liz Cambage checked out, and plenty of others took extended breaks. But the difference here, Caitlyn is the biggest thing to ever happen to women's basketball. If she bails, it's not just a loss, it's an earthquake. And let's not act like the signs aren't totally obvious. We've got injury confusion, day by day, updates that simply don't add up. Her not showing up at film sessions. And now Sophie Cunningham straight up admitting nobody knows what's really wrong. That's not just bad luck, that's a league failing its biggest asset. Instead of being transparent, the WNBA is playing games. Growing strain, ankle bruise, questionable for tonight. Fans aren't stupid, they see the patterns. They know this whole thing smells fishy. At this point, you can't even call it a conspiracy theory. You can call it what it is: incompetence. The league doesn't know what's wrong. The team doesn't know how to handle it. And Caitlyn might be sitting there wondering if it's even worth risking her body for an organization that doesn't seem to have her back. And let's not forget the mental side. Caitlyn is carrying pressure that literally no woman in US sports has ever carried. She's the face of Nike, State Farm, Gatorade, ESPN, and the entire WNBA brand. She can't walk into a coffee shop without a line forming. Every single game is on national TV. Every shot dissected by Twitter trolls. Every foul turned into a full-blown debate. Do you really think that doesn't weigh on her? Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, Serena Williams, they all had moments where the pressure just boiled over. Caitlyn's no different, and Sophie Cunningham hinting at her potentially walking away might not be an exaggeration at all. It might just be Caitlyn buying herself some much-needed peace of mind. And here's the real kicker, fans wouldn't even hate her for it. If Caitlyn said tomorrow, I'm done with the WNBA, I'm going to Europe, or even better, I'm trying golf, people would actually support it. They'd say, good for her. Protect your body, protect your mind. The league never protected you. The WNBA, on the other hand, would completely crumble, because without Caitlyn, there is no league momentum. Attendance drops, media coverage vanishes, sponsorships dry up. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a phrase, it's the difference between survival and total irrelevance. Sophie Cunningham just said out loud what a lot of people have been thinking quietly: maybe Caitlin Clark should quit the WNBA. And when fans hear that from an active player, it hits different. It doesn't sound like a rumor anymore. It sounds like the future. Now, let's really talk about how this all ties back to the WNBA's massive double standard problem. Because it's not just about Caitlyn's injuries or Sophie Cunningham's fines, it's about the way the league treats its stars and how that treatment ends up creating villains, victims, and even golden children, depending on who fits the narrative best. Look at Paige Buchers, for example. Paige walks into the league with a huge media push, and it's like the WNBA has already pre-written the script for her. Superstar whistle, check. Highlight reels, check. Fans being told she's the future of the league, double check. And yet, Caitlin Clark has already done more for the WNBA in 2 years than Paige has ever done, period. The big difference? Caitlin doesn't get the safety net, she gets the target on her back instead. That's exactly what Sophie Cunningham tapped into. She basically held up a mirror to the league and said, "This is what it looks like. You protect some, you punish others, and the people carrying the league get the absolute worst treatment." She didn't say Caitlin's name outright, but everybody knew exactly who she meant. And that's why fans absolutely blew up about her comments. It's not just Caitlin's health in question, it's the league's entire credibility. Think about it. If Caitlin Clark decides she's had enough and leaves, what's left? Angel Reese is popular, sure, but she's polarizing. Aja Wilson is elite, but casual fans honestly don't know her. Paige has hype, but she hasn't proven she can carry an entire league. Without Caitlin, the WNBA looks a lot like it did before she arrived, scrambling for attention, begging ESPN for coverage, and struggling to sell tickets outside a handful of cities. That's why Sophie's words cut so deep. It wasn't just speculation, it was a terrifying warning. So let's play out the what-if scenarios. Scenario 1, Caitlin Clark decides to stick it out, rehab her body, and give the WNBA a few more years. Best case, she powers through, racks up MVPs, and forces the league to finally give her the superstar treatment she's earned. Worst case, the injuries pile up, she burns out mentally, and we're left talking about what could have been instead of what was. Scenario 2, she pulls the Europe card. The money is better, the season is shorter, and she gets treated like Roy. Imagine Caitlin in Spain or Turkey, filling up arenas overseas while American fans stream her games in the middle of the night. That would embarrass the WNBA in ways you truly can't measure. Scenario 3, Caitlin shifts sports entirely. She takes her competitiveness, her marketability, and her massive fan base to golf. People might laugh at that idea now, but they laughed when Michael Jordan tried baseball too. The difference is, Caitlin doesn't need to be Tiger Woods to succeed in golf. She just needs to show up, swing a club, and cash in on sponsorships. And believe me, sponsors would line up. Any one of those scenarios is totally realistic. And that's the scary part for the league. When your biggest star has more options outside your league than inside it, you've already lost. Sophie Cunningham just dared to say the quiet part out loud. But let's circle back to the fans because they're the real drivers here. Fans aren't stupid. They see the difference in treatment between Paige and Caitlin. They see how Sophie's fines pile up while other players get away with work. They see how the refereeing is one-sided, how the injury reports are vague, and how the league's PR machine tries to spin every controversy, and guess what? They don't buy it anymore. The WNBA had a once-in-a-generation chance to grow with Caitlin Clark. And instead of protecting her, they've thrown her into what feels like a rigged game. That's why the conversation about her future is so real right now. If the league doesn't make changes fast, Caitlin might just make the decision for them, and it won't be in their favor. So what happens if she leaves? The honest answer, pure chaos. Sponsorships would tank, TV ratings would collapse, and the Caitlin Clark effect that lifted attendance numbers league-wide would vanish overnight. And here's the wildest part. Fans wouldn't even blame Caitlin. They'd say the league fumbled the bag, and they'd be absolutely right. Sophie Cunningham gave everyone a glimpse of that reality. And now, the WNBA has to live with the fact that people are taking it serious. So here's the burning question. Do you think Caitlin Clark will stick it out, head to Europe, or maybe shock everyone and leave basketball altogether? This story definitely isn't slowing down anytime soon.